everyone. You are welcome to today's episode on the Edfields Podcast. I would ask that you sit back and join us as we delve into a very important and interesting topic. Today, we'll be talking about custody and maintenance of children. It's a very sensitive area, as you would come to learn later on. But we would look generally on the rights of children and how important they are in the family setting. To discuss this very interesting topic with us today, we have three legal persons, and they would give us their views on the rights of children when it comes to custody and maintenance. Prince, you're welcome to today's program.
Thank you.
We have Eunice, and of course we have Albert. So we have two guys and a lady, and we look forward to seeing their perspective on this topic. So I'll start with you, Eunice. Generally, when you say custody, what does it actually mean?
Okay, so custody in simple terms means a parent having physical control or legal control of a child. A child being someone under 18 years, and it can be shared custody, sole custody, or maybe a guardian or a third-party custody.
Wow, that's really broad. That's really broad. Now, I have often heard, Albert, this goes to you. I've often heard people say that the interest of the child is paramount when it comes to custody issues. Can you just give us a brief on what it means when you say the interest of a child is paramount?
So it's what we have adopted in Ghana. When it comes to matters of child custody and maintenance in Ghana, we have tried to localize the United Nations Convention on Children. And we have come up with certain laws, certain guidelines, and case precedents to guide the way child custody issues are dealt with. And in all these cases, what the courts have held to be of the utmost importance is that whatever decision is taken in respect of a child must be in the best interest of the child. Now, the best interest of the child may seem broad, but if you break it down, it means that in conducting an investigation into any custody matter, the courts must look at whether or not the parent who should be given custody of the child is the one who will augur well for the best interest of the child. Many times people say something that a child should be with the mother. There's a reason for that. But because in Ghana we have taken the best interest of the child to be paramount, you would agree with me that there might be instances where being with the mother will not be in the best interest of the child. So because we are using the best interest of the child, the fact that the child needs to be with the mother is not what the courts will consider in determining where the child should go. What will be considered is, we want the child to be where the child's spiritual, physical, educational, everything in respect of the child's upbringing will be put to the fore. For very young children, especially girls, it is good that in their early formative years, they are close to their mothers. There's a reason why. Mothers, because of their nurturing nature, they are able to pay attention to some of the child's needs when it comes to their upbringing. But there will be instances where a court, after conducting an investigation, may decide that, no, it will be better for the child to be with their father. For instance, there's a situation where custody is given to the child's father due to the fact that the child's father lives with his mother, that's the child's grandmother, And the court was of the opinion that that guardian would be the right person to cater for the child's primary well-being. So in the best interest of the child, what I would say is that it doesn't necessarily mean that the child should always be with the mother. But where it is in the best interest, then the child will be with the mother.
Yeah, Jasmine, let me add this. Maybe I'll sound a little bit philosophical. Mm-hmm. There's a reason it is couched that way, best interest of the child. Mm-hmm. And what comes to my head are two things. You know, the law seeks to always protect people who may be a little bit disadvantaged.
Okay.
Especially where interests are conflicting. Now, you look at a situation where a mother wants to be called a mother because there's a child involved. Mm-hmm. I have a kid. A father or a man wants to be called a father because there's a child involved. There's possibility that you may ignore what the child wants when there's a tussle between the two grown-ups. Is very high. Because you'll be thinking it's either you favor the man or the woman. Both of them have the capacity to take care of themselves. So if you are not looking at what the child will also want, then it will mean that you ignore the child totally. But this is the child who cannot talk or know what exactly is good for him. And so it is put there as best interest of the child so that the court or the person adjudicating will rather look at the circumstance and decide, if I were the child, what would I have also seen as paramount?
But Prince, is that always the case? I mean, can you determine what the best interest of the child is if you don't get the child to independently give his or her view on where she wants to go, whether she wants to go to the side of the mother or she wants to go to the side of the father?
Yes. So you see, there are two arguments here. One, a lot of the kids may want to go to a specific parent not because it is in their best interest,
okay,
but because they may have freedom. Because at the point, you are not thinking about anything aside from freedom and what you like and not what is good for you.
Okay.
If you leave that child, a child who wants to always be playing football and coming home, just come and sleep without bathing, will go to the parent who will say that go and play football because I see you as a future Messi. Will never go to the other one who I want to say arrest you, who arrest you, put you in a pan and then use
Sponge
to ensure that you
scrub your body.
You see,
it's true.
You would think that this one wants to kill
That's
me.
the wicked parent.
You only grow to know that the one who was calling me Messi was the bad one.
Yeah.
So if you leave that child to be taking those decisions, it becomes very problematic. The second argument is that normally, if you look at the kids involved, most of them are not children who can think for themselves. Mm-hmm. Some of them, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I have always said that if a child has not finished SS, or let me say JSS, most of the things they think about are very childish. Just a few of them think beyond their age. So if you want to place premium on what they want, you may destroy their lives. But what, in my experience, I've seen is that it is not always about what the judge, who is the third party, considering as in the best interest of the child. Sometimes they listen to the children, and then you can glean from what they are saying to know that, okay, this child will be comfortable here or there. They want to, or I would say the law wants to try as much as possible not to make kids or children look like objects. That when there is a problem between parents, they'll be struggling. They are not chattels that you can just pick here and pick there. That is why we always say that let's look at the best interest, where Now, the mind of the child is the law. So the law is serving as the mind of the child, speaking for the child. So that at the end of the day, you know that wherever he will be in safe hands.
But Eunice, I mean, you are in practice as a lawyer.
Okay.
Do you think that when it comes to custody issue, the law or the courts would usually favor the mothers over the fathers?
I think Albert actually handled that part.
Okay.
So there are a lot of considerations that go into it. One being the age of the child, which Albert said usually for younger children, especially women or daughters, since mothers have nurturing nature, they tend to give custody to the mother because the mother is seen as the person who is fit to actually take care of the child. And also, we have one that we check the independent view of the child as well. The court sometimes asks, and those views, it shouldn't be something that the child has been forced to say, so it should be independently given. So it's not as if the child has been compelled to say that I want to live with my father or I want to live. Something that's independently the child has said.
Yeah, to pick it up from where she left off. Yes, it might seem as if overwhelmingly custody is given to the mother because of the nature of motherhood and how critical when a child is very young, a mother's care is to the child. But consider this. We are looking at what's in the best interest of a child. If you're a child and you go through a lot of upheaval, you are moving all the time, it can destabilize your development.
Yeah.
So in instances where, let's say, a child's very early formative years were in one country, but subsequently, because the child's parents are separating, and maybe the mother is leaving that jurisdiction that the child had their earliest development in, the mother wants to be given full custody of the child, to take the child out of that jurisdiction. The court might decide, no, we won't let you, the mother, have custody of the child. Because probably in looking at the circumstances surrounding the child's well-being, it might be held that the child leaving that jurisdiction to go to a different jurisdiction might be too much to introduce the child to at a certain point. And this is even a situation where it is the mother pushing for the child to go with her to that jurisdiction. So, no, it isn't always that it's given to the mother. But let's say in 10 situations, maybe 7 to be given to the mother.
And Jasmine, in instances where the mother tends to be abusive towards the child, I don't think any
Clearly.
courts in their right mind would.
Because I think
Definitely.
someone has actually told me the story of a lady whose place of abode was not suitable for the child.
Exactly.
And it was one of the grounds for the court to actually pass on that child.
I
To the
think
father.
it
To the
all
fa-
comes
to the
down
father.
to the
Yes.
best interest because
So
you need
in-
to prioritize the child's security, safety, emotional being, and everything.
It
So
will mean
if,
that in that instance, the court weighed
exactly.
being with the mother and then where you live, and held that where you live is more important. Yes.
So it comes back to what I was saying, that the court doesn't want us to look at the child as a chattel, that we are separated, so we should share or I should take.
Exactly.
Yes.
Other than that, the situation you just mentioned, that where the woman was living was not so good, they would have still given it to the woman that you have
You
that
deserve-
nurturing skills.
Yes.
And you see, for me, the starting point in my head is that there are certain basics that, unless you are the extreme form of feminist, there are certain basic things that, whether you like it or not, they are associated with certain gender.
Yes.
From a
That,
starting
that
point,
wouldn't even necessarily be a feminist. But somebody who doesn't believe in feminism will say, give it to the man, if maybe the man can take it. No, but
Yeah.
no. At that point, we are not looking at your ideological, what you align with ideological. We are looking at what is in the interest of the child.
I'm even talking about nurturing of kids. If you don't take care, someone will construe what you say to mean that women are supposed to take care of children.
No,
Even in our cultural,
Yes. You see?
Settings,
Yeah.
So there are situations where I have always said that look at the basics. The starting point is that, see, when a child is young, whether you like it or not, the person who is fit to take care of that child will be the mother. Because ordinarily, men are not created to sit at one place.
Yeah. Okay.
When we were growing, we were told that your father is going to work. He's going to bring food. Your mother goes to work, right? But your father is the one going to bring money. This. Where is he? You will see him once every week and all that. But you know that that's your father. But your mother is always present. That kind of empathy, that kind of care, affection, they are the first to give.
Okay.
But there are always exceptions to the general rule.
Exactly.
All those ones may exist, but you will see that maybe the mother drinks too much. That can affect a child. Maybe the mother is not working enough to even support even the father, even if the father is bringing something. And where the father is living is better. Maybe where the father is living is closer to specific schools that the children can go.
Yeah.
So it becomes an exception. So
even Prince, for boys, you see, men are seen as disciplinarians. So even for younger boys,
yeah,
may I advise that their fathers be given custody.
me
You know that-
for boys, I will give it to the women.
You give it to the women.
You see, I have very weird philosophies. You see, men, I think that every man from the day you give your first cry, you feel you are a man. And so you have that ego in you, that fighting spirit and all that. But when it comes to love, care, being patient and all that, we learn
Empathy.
from
You
women.
learn
You
from
pick it
women.
up.
You pick
So,
it up from the women.
If
I
you
see.
like, just get an analysis of kids who are boys whose parents went through divorce and they went to live with their father, and see how many of them are empathetic to people's
Oh,
plight.
Prince, I disagree. I think
Well,
it's
you
not
have the
always.
right to-
It's not always that way. Yeah,
It cannot be always.
I understand the place from which you are saying
Yes.
this, but it's not always necessarily. I think it's more of a cultural issue. A father there might be situations where the father is a primary caregiver, and the child might still grow up with empathy, with a sense of fairness, with the understanding that the fact that I'm different from a colleague or a friend of the different sex doesn't mean that person is less of a human being than me, necessarily. It's even growing with a father. A child might still pick that up. See, in Black America right now, there's this general perception that the absence of present fathers, there aren't enough present fathers in the lives of children, especially boys.
Okay.
And it's having an effect on the way they grow up, you see. Because the perception is that they are raised by their mothers. Their mothers being the best people to nurture them, teach them empathy, stuff like that. But they still grow up and there's something lacking.
But is that
Oh,
not
definitely.
that he was speaking for the
Yeah.
fathers? he was saying something. Is that not the same thing you are saying?
Yes,
So
that-
speaking for the mothers,
you see,
and that's the point he was also
The
trying
very
to give
young
for the
age,
fathers.
they pick up some things. That's why I said that's my opinion. It's just supposed to be absolute. Say 1 to like 8, 9, where the child cannot follow the father everywhere. It is better to give that son or that boy to the mother to learn those basics. Where he's like 12 and all that he can wash, he can clean and all that, and he's with the father. He
And then
is
he can
now
now start understanding some of the responsibilities.
yes. So
what
the
he needs
father,
to-
if he is present enough, he will start teaching him how to be the man he thinks he is.
Okay.
I get you.
That's why I was saying that for boys, that first day they come out, they have that ego that he is a man. So if you like, look at kids when they are fighting. When even a boy is fighting a girl, you clearly see that one has that ego that I am the man.
So I must be able to beat you.
You get it. So you don't have to teach him that. But for loving and seeing, I've always said that women have a sense of what is right and wrong more than us. Seeing all those things, then women should, unless maybe those small things I'm talking about are lacking, then you say, oh, for my dear mommy, you get it. But from the basics, yeah.
Albert, take that from Prince. He knows what he's talking about. Well, Prince, I just want to ask you, how is custody done in terms of how is it assigned? How are the kids assigned? I don't know if you understand my question.
Yes. So people are always thinking that unless there is divorce, you can never go for custody. I know people who are married, all right, they've not gone for divorce, but they don't live at one place because one, circumstances will not allow them, or two, because they are separated. I've had a situation where because of documentation sake, one had to get an official document from court or government that he was the sole person in the life of that child. They were not divorced. They were still married. They talk all right and all that. How do you do it? You would have to go to court. The district court always has a magistrate in the family tribunal where there's a form. That's how they call it, but it is a motion. When I say motion, it is an application you do to the court. That because of X, Y, Z reasons, I want to be given custody of this child with reasonable access, which means the child will be in your control, but the other parent will come and see the child at specific periods. So, like Eunice and Albert mentioned, all those factors will be taken into consideration. If it is in the best interest of the child, then it's granted. If it is not, it can be denied. Because, like I said, children are vulnerable. The only person to protect them is the government or the law. If you leave the parents, they will fight over them. And they are going to be looked at like a chattel where I just say Solomon 70 bum, funny nine back, funny nine back. And that's not possible. So yeah, you have to go to court, make the application, and the court to consider all those things and then make the yes.
Great. I think it's time for us to go into maintenance. Eunice, maybe for our viewers out there, in simple terms, what does maintenance, not maintenance of a house or maintenance of a building, but I mean, when it comes to children and custody, what's maintenance?